All right, let's take a look at solving compound inequalities. Solve the compound inequality, write the solution set using interval notation, and graph it. Now, compound inequalities just mean that we're going to have some kind of connector word like this, or. Okay, now or always means this. Best way I can explain it means put them both on the solution graph. Put both in the answer. In other words, both of them answer. In other words, we're looking for the solution to one inequality or the other, so that we're actually expanding our choices, which means we're going to put both options on there. So let's take a look. All right, so we're going to go ahead and solve this one. We have a weird fraction, but that's okay. 7/3. Oops, excuse me, I didn't mean to write equals. That's greater than. Now, that's really the same thing as just 2 1/3. So when we go to graph it, that's what I'll do. I'll put it in the appropriate spot. So I'm going to go +1 here, +1 here. Okay, I have -5x. And just as a reminder, when we divide or multiply an inequality by a negative, we flip the symbol. That goes from there to there because of this right here. Let's take a look at this. We have then x is greater than -2. All right, now the important part here, yes, we've solved it, but now we're going to write the solution set using interval notation and graph it. Actually, I'm going to reverse those. I'm going to go ahead and graph it first, and then I'm going to write the solution set, because I think that the graphing is, I'm going to graph it first and then write it in interval notation. So here's what we have. I'm going to go ahead and just put in a -2, a -2 there, and I'm going to say this is about 2 1/3. Okay. So, above this, I'm going to go ahead and graph this one first, which is anything greater than 2 1/3, basically. Anything greater than 2 1/3. Now I'm going to put open parentheses like that because we're not including the boundary. So there's that, anything greater. Now I'm going to put this one on, anything greater than -2. There it is. So now, or means put them both in the answer. And here's what that really means. I'm going to do it dynamically for you. It really does mean take this graph and literally slide it down to the answer graph. Now remember, this is preliminary work that we're doing, preliminary work that we're doing above the answer graph so that we can prepare ourselves for the proper answer. Now, what I've done is slid both of those down. That's what or means. Slide them down, and whatever happens to the graph is the answer. In other words, where is the graph colored? The graph is colored here. Okay, it doesn't matter whether it's double colored or not, it's colored here from the -2 up. So that's my graph of that. Now let's write it in interval notation. In interval notation, we read it from left to right, -2 to infinity. Okay? So -2 to infinity is the interval notation, and then the red graph is the appropriate graph for that. Now, strategically, I'm going to go ahead and do the very same problem, but I have an and between the two inequalities. All right, so let's take a look at what we're going to do here. We're going to go +5, +5. Oh, Miss Isabel. Okay, I'm going to back up because we already know the answers. The answers are anything greater than 2 1/3. Just bebopping along. Okay, and then this one is anything greater than -2. All right. Now, the word and always means the overlap, which means basically we're saying and at the same time. Where are my solutions both occurring at the same time? I mean, for both inequalities, where are they occurring at the same time? So let's take a look at the picture of it. Okay, we have this. I'm going to go ahead. There's the -2, and there's about 2 1/3, roughly. So now I'm going to go ahead and graph anything greater than 2 1/3 would be here, as we had before, and anything greater than negative 2 would be here. Now, the word and means overlap. Where on my, if I look at these, I don't slide them down. Sliding them is the or problem. If I'm looking for where they're double lines, in other words, where both of them are, where they are there at the same time, the overlap. The only place that I see that is greater than 2 1/3. So my answer then is just the overlap. There it is right there. There's my answer. Okay, so there's my graph. Now I'm going to write it in interval notation. And interval notation, we read from left to right. Here we go. So we're going to have, I'm going to go ahead and go back to the 7/3 to infinity. So there's my interval notation from this to this. All right, interval notation. There you go. Hope this was helpful. Thanks for watching.